Now, I've been playing some sort of Nintendo product since like 92. And as an adult, especially with the Nintendo Switch, there's been one very specific thing I've been on the hunt for. And today we're going to lock in exactly what that is. And that is the perfect D-pad. Now, the reason why I bust out my SP is for a very specific one. And that is because this is, to me, the gold standard for what a D-pad should feel like. The buttons are very, very defined and clicky, and the travel is short. So what that means is your inputs are almost immediate. And so when it comes to a game, my favorite game of all time, Super Mario World, that is my litmus test. Does this controller actually allow me to experience that game to the fullest? And I believe there is an answer. So let's start with what we have here, which is all of the controllers that I deem actually worthy of being placed in this category. D-pads for gaming, specifically 2D side scrollers, because that's really where the D-pad comes in handy. Well, let's start with what all of you have. You have a Joy-Con. Now, I think that this right here is a solid 6 out of 10. For the Joy-Con itself, you have inputs that are exact. When you want to go right, you hit the right button. When you want to go left, you hit the left button. The missed inputs are often not there. You can press 2 buttons at once if you want, and that is where you lose a lot of points. It's inaccurate. You're trying to hit 2 versus rocking, which is this right here. This is by Hori. This is an actual replacement left Joy-Con that does just that. Replaces it with a D-pad. Now, this D-pad is great. It's kind of mushy, but it's the cheapest, most affordable option for getting that gameplay. Now, here's where this is a problem, a big problem. There's no power. This is dead unless plugged in. So unless you're a handheld-only gamer and you effectively want to turn your Nintendo Switch into a Switch Lite and have a D-pad at all times, you really should only consider this as a part-time solution. So next, what do we have? We have first-party options. The very, very first-party options is the 7 out of 10 option. Yes, 7. This is the Pro Controller. I love this controller. The biggest problem that I have with that controller is the very thing that I'm trying to solve. D-pad. The D-pad on the Pro Controller is not that good. It is mushy, and often you do miss inputs. Very, very often it's the down input. And on a game like Super Mario World, when you miss the down input, you go down, and it's an issue. So this right here, though I love it, isn't the best option. And for someone who wants one controller, this is good, but we're gonna have to count this out. So the next option we have is the Super Nintendo replica and the Nintendo replica, which it's a tough sell. This right here really only works with the Nintendo Entertainment System emulator that exists on the Switch. You are missing so many buttons and trying to navigate a game. I don't think that this works the same. Let's find out. I'm pressing both. It won't let me out. It doesn't register. Missing buttons. I have to use a different controller completely to get out of it. And I can't even connect another controller right now. I have to completely disconnect this. Get it to trigger. Another controller needs to get connected. That is a 1 out of 10. You're going to have to remap these because these are specifically mapped to B and A on the NES system. Not all games actually map it the same way. So this I would count out because it's just not realistic. Which leaves us with the Super Nintendo controller, which when it comes to playing Super Mario World is incredible. This is for Super Mario World, for Donkey Kong, for any games on the Super Nintendo, this is honestly a 10 out of 10. The D-pad is the best in the business. The texture of the controller is unmatched, and the nostalgia that it creates is unparalleled. I am someone who grew up with this controller right here and this controller right here. These two in my possession give me chills. Just now I got chills. And it reminds me of a time that was much simpler and gaming that was much more, dare I say, complete. But again, this isn't the most practical because while this is $30, exclusive to anyone with a Nintendo Switch Online account, you can't purchase it otherwise, this is only good with the Super Nintendo emulator. And the reason why I say that is there are no thumbsticks. Any other game that requires some sort of dual input for direction, you're not going to be able to do with this. And once I'm in game selection, I can hit the L. I can't. So that's one thing to know. I can't get out of this right now. There's no home button. I have to turn off the controller, reattach a Pro controller. This is not conducive to a good gaming experience. So this actually becomes a one-trick pony. And the trick it does is incredible. Imagine a pony that could do backflips on a regular basis. That would be a pony you'd want to hold on to. And I think it's fairly priced at $30. I do think that anyone who's a fan of Super Nintendo specifically should grab this controller because it's out of this world. But I'm going to say it doesn't check all the boxes because this controller ends up being useless in normal use cases. So I'm going to have to say bye-bye. Love this one. So what does that leave us? That leaves us with third party. And third party has a few options here, and I'm just going to lay them out right here. We have the 8-bit DOE SN30 Pro, of which I have 2 colors of. We have the 8-bit DOE Pro 2, of which I have 2 colors of. And finally, we have the 8-bit DOE Ultimate Controller. These are the 3 options that exist in the world of D-pads that are worth it. And I'm going to be the first to say that the 8-bit DOE Ultimate Controller has the most benefits and is the most bang for your buck. But if you're not a fan of asymmetrical thumbsticks like me, this may not take first place. And for me, this doesn't take first place when it comes to the third party situation. And the reason why you're seeing all 8-bit DOE is because I've used the Power 3. Power A, Hori, and 8-bit DOE. I think that those 3 are pretty much the only 3 that are worth my time when it comes to video games. As a father and someone who wants to just play video games, I don't have time to experiment with every single third-party provider of controllers out there. Yes, the King Kong Pro 2, whatever it's called, is a great controller and I have tried it, but it is a one-off. The QC is not the best, and to be honest with you, I'd rather work with a company that's bigger and the quality control is tight than something that's a little bit cheaper and experimental and the quality control is not the best. So we stick with 8-bit DOE. The Ultimate Controller is probably an 8.5 out of 10 for me when it comes to all-around goodness. I think that this is honestly the #1 contender with the actual Pro controller from Nintendo, but I do not choose this when it comes to all of the others. Now, we come down to the real 2 here, which are the 8-bit DOE SN30 Pro and the Pro 2. I personally love the SN30 Pro because of the form factor. It's gorgeous. It is so fun to look at, and most of all, it is nostalgic, and it places the importance of the very thing I'm searching for, the D-pad, in the proper orientation when it comes to how I want to use a D-pad, which is the left side. It is not on the bottom. It is directly where I want it, which is symmetrical with the buttons. And so this form factor between the Pro 2 and the SN30 Pro are really picture perfect. And so I love this. I think the SN30 Pro brings the most nostalgia, but it's lacking in one very important category. Comfort. And since the comfort isn't there, neither is the SN30 Pro. The winner of this for me isn't just the Pro 2, but it's also a controller that I haven't spoken of at all. This, the 8-bit DOE arcade stick. I know that this is completely out of left field, and for you it might be right field. I'm not sure which side it's going to be viewing for you, but this right here is so much fun to use. Now, for $90, I don't know if it's necessarily worth it for you to get just to play your side scrollers, but this, just, you got to give it a try. And if you want to see a video about it, I have one posted in the links below. But back to the controller. This right here actually is the winner in my book because of multiple things, and we'll just flash through it real quick. It has every feature I want. It has rumble. It has customizability through the Ultimate software. And most of all, it has symmetrical thumbsticks that are short throw. What I mean by short throw is I don't like my thumbsticks to be high, and these are actually low. So it feels really, really good, and you get really comfortable. The D-pad on 8-bit DOE is better than any other D-pad, with the exception of this. This right here is the #1 best controller to play Super Mario World with. Hands down. You can't beat Super Mario World without using this controller. I mean, you can technically beat it, but you know what I'm saying. This is 100 out of 10. It's the best. But again, this is $30. Everyone should just get it and have it in their repertoire. When it comes to practicality, This right here is the bee's knees. And this is, again, personal preference. If you're like, dude, I hate the quote unquote PlayStation style, then I would absolutely say get this guy right here and you have the best D-pad in the business. And if you're like, JD, I am only buying one controller, I am not buying more than one controller, then I would unfortunately omit both and get the Pro controller, because the Pro controller, with the drawbacks being there, it's first party. So I hope that that answers the question which I posed, which one is the best D-pad in the business? And I'm gonna say it's 8BitDo Pro 2. All right, happy gaming. Check out this video if you want to learn more about that arcade stick, huh? All right, see you later.